Beginning, the queen who hid from her own light. The first time I ever heard the name Queen Sailira, it wasn't during a diplomatic meeting, a parade, or a ceremony. It was whispered. Whispered by crew members. Whispered by ambassadors. Whispered by warriors who had seen entire planets burn. Her name carried a mix of awe and sorrow, as if her very existence was wrapped in an ancient wound no one dared to touch. I was Lieutenant Aaron Hale, one of Earth's envoys to the Varanth Dominion, a powerful alien empire known for its luminous skin, crystalline cities, and strict traditions of beauty and perfection. Humans, by their standards, were considered unbearably plain. But at least we did not suffer the burdens they placed upon themselves. Queen Sailira was the youngest ruler Varanth had ever crowned, and the one they hid the most. According to rumors, she wore a shimmering veil at all times. Some said she had been injured during an assassination attempt. Others claimed she had been born with a defect, something unthinkable in a society obsessed with flawless symmetry. No one knew the truth. No one had seen her face in years. So when I was unexpectedly summoned to her private chamber one evening, alone without escort, I felt the weight of every whisper pressing down on me. 2 Varanth guards led me through winding crystalline corridors, their reflective armor casting soft, fractured light along the walls. At last, we entered a vast chamber, silent and dim, lit only by floating orbs of violet luminescence. Lieutenant Aaron Hale, one guard announced formally. Her radiance is expecting you. The doors sealed behind me. I stood alone, and then she emerged. A tall figure stepped from behind a curved pillar of living crystal. She wore a long silver gown that flowed like liquid metal, and a veil embroidered with thousands of tiny star shards. Her movements were graceful, hesitant, almost fragile. She stopped several steps away from me. "You are the human who negotiated peace during the border rift conflict," she said quietly. Her voice was soft, like moonlight turned into sound. "Yes, your radiance," I replied, bowing respectfully. "And you are the only human to remain on Varanth for more than a month," she added. "Most cannot bear our customs, or our expectations." "I adapt well," I said with a small smile. To my surprise, she almost laughed. Almost. Her gloved hands tightened nervously. "Aaron," she said slowly, "I have a favor to ask of you, one I cannot ask of my own people." I didn't know what to expect. A negotiation. Political request. But what she asked was nothing like that. "I want you," she said, "to tell me how humans perceive imperfection." Her voice trembled. Her hands trembled. And I understood. This wasn't about diplomacy. This was about pain. And I, somehow, had been chosen to see it. Middle. The secret of her veil. She gestured to a circular seating platform made of smooth crystalline stone. I sat first, giving her space, giving her choice. She lowered herself opposite me with elegant restraint. A long silence passed. Finally she asked, "Among humans, is physical flaw a curse?" "No," I answered honestly. "It's part of life. Sometimes part of beauty." She inhaled sharply, an emotional reaction I wouldn't expect from a queen. Her fingers lifted slightly toward her veil. "Here," she whispered, "it is unforgivable." She touched the thin fabric gently. "Before I show you," she said, "you must understand why my people speak of me in silence. Why I hide from their eyes." He nodded. "My mother, the former queen, was adored," she said. "Her face was said to be perfection itself. My father's lineage was equally flawless. When I was born, the court expected the culmination of beauty, a child to inspire an empire." Her voice tightened. But during my birth, complications arose. The energy conduits in the birthing chamber overloaded. A surge of plasma struck my cradle. I paused. It left a mark across my face. I leaned forward. A scar. A glowing scar, she murmured. Unmissable. Unacceptable. Her breathing became unsteady. When I was still a child, one of the royal advisors said I would cause fear if I ever ascended the throne. That a queen must inspire awe, not discomfort. I felt anger rise inside me, not at her, but at the cruel expectations pressed onto her since infancy. So they taught me to hide, she said quietly. Taught me to lower my head. To speak only from behind a veil. I learned diplomacy, strategy, leadership. But I never learned how to look another person in the eyes without feeling shame. She went silent again. And then she asked, "Would you like to see my face, Aaron?" The room felt impossibly still. "Yes," I said softly. "But only if you want me to." She hesitated. Her hands trembled again. Then, with a breath that seemed to carry the weight of her entire life, she lifted her veil. And I saw her. Her skin was a pale, luminous silver, smooth, elegant, unearthly. But a single glowing scar ran from beneath her left eye down her cheek, beautifully radiant, like a streak of crystallized starlight. It wasn't frightening. It wasn't grotesque. It was breathtaking. She kept her gaze lowered, unable to meet mine. "Now you understand," she whispered. "This is why I hide. Why they whisper. Why the advisors speak of replacing me. They say a marked queen weakens the throne." I leaned toward her gently. "Sailira," I said for the first time using her name. "Humans have scars too. We earn them through survival. Through overcoming something that tried to break us. Your scar isn't a flaw, it's proof of your strength." She finally looked up at me, uncertainty flickering in her bright violet eyes. "You truly do not find me terrifying." "Terrifying," I repeated. "You're the most beautiful being I've ever seen." Her breath hitched softly. Her eyes widened. And for the first time since I'd met her, genuine emotion, raw, vulnerable, hopeful, appeared on her face. "I do not know how to accept such words," she whispered. "No one has ever spoken them." "I'll say them again then," I told her gently. "You are beautiful." Her hand moved unconsciously toward her scar, as if she were testing whether the words were real. "Aaron," she whispered, voice breaking. "Why did it have to be a human who said this? Why none of my own people?" "Maybe," I said softly, "because I wasn't taught to fear what makes you unique." She closed her eyes. A tear, glowing softly like liquid light, slipped down her cheek. "I have carried this shame for so long," she said. "To hear someone speak of me with kindness, I fear I might break." "You don't need to be perfect," I said. "You just need to be yourself." She opened her eyes, breathing deeply, grounding herself. And then, slowly, carefully, she removed her veil entirely and set it beside her. "Stay with me a while," she said. "Let me speak without hiding." The rising conflict. A queen under threat. Over the next several days, Sailira asked for me often, under the guise of diplomatic assistance, of course. But in truth, we spent hours simply talking. She asked about Earth's oceans. I asked about Verantha's glowing forests. She asked about human art. I asked about her people's history. And little by little, her posture changed. Her voice grew steadier. Her face lifted higher. The veil returned to her chambers less and less. But our quiet connection did not remain unnoticed. One evening, as I left her private wing, a stern, angular man stepped into my path. He wore traditional crystalline armor and carried the insignia of a royal advisor, Lord Vailker.